Hi, welcome to another trick of the week. In this one, we're going to look at how you can smooth out your chord changes and keep the rhythm going without the whole song falling to pieces. This is something I've seen posted a lot on ukulele groups and forums lately. People really struggling, saying that they can't keep strumming because as soon as they change chord, it all falls to pieces. And you're not alone. When people are starting off on any instrument that requires you to pluck or strum the strings and change chords with this hand, everyone has that same issue. So here are kind of two tricks of the week in one to help sort that out. The first one is to realise that we don't actually want to coordinate our hands all the time. When you're strumming, this hand is king. This hand has to keep time and keep rhythm. It has no business knowing what this hand's doing. If this hand can't keep up and change chord fast enough, well, then maybe the song's going too fast, or maybe you need to isolate and practice those chord changes. But the point is, this hand cannot stop and wait for this one. So the first thing we have to do is get this hand on autopilot so that when we think about this hand, this one carries on. And little exercises you can do with that are to mute your strings. Now, I'm not worrying about strum patterns here or rhythms. That's a whole different kind of subject. What I'm trying to get going here is the up and down motion of my hand. So I'm just going to hit on the down and the up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I'm going to concentrate on having a very relaxed hand. And as you can see, I'm talking to you while I'm doing this, which proves that I can think about something else while that's happening. You can distract yourself. You could maybe put the TV on. Normally it's not great practice to sit and try and work on your instrument while you've got the TV playing, but in the case of this, we actually want a distraction. We want to see if we can keep this going while we do other things. So that's one thing. And when you can play a chord and keep that rhythm going without really thinking too hard about your right hand, you're well on the way. But this is where the second part of this trick comes in. You need to be slightly ahead up here than where you are here. In other words, you need to be thinking about the thing that's about to happen, not the thing that needs to happen right this second, because we don't have time. And this is a problem because often people are reading. And if you're reading the chords on a chart and you're reading F, what's next? C. The C's now. I've missed it. It's too late. I'm going to be getting to that chord half a beat late. What we really need to do is to be reading ahead, or if we're doing it from memory, thinking ahead, so that we start the move to the chord before that chord is needed. And the better you get, the smaller that window will need to be. That period of time where you're changing will get smaller and smaller. But it'll never be non-existent. There's always going to be some time to get from one chord to another, even if it's a tiny amount of time. So here's the trick you can try. Pick two chords that you know really well. I'm going to pick C and G7, but it could be any two chords. Keep your up and down movement going. And I'm going to play one bar of C and one bar of G7. And I want you to watch what happens when I count the beats, how my hand changes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Do you see that I started lifting my hand off on the 4 or maybe the 4 and so that it was there for the 1? If you've been playing a bar of C, do I really need to hear the 4 and of that C chord that I've just heard for a whole bar or however long? Well, it'd be nice to hear it, but I'd be better off hearing the new chord right when it should happen at the expense of hearing the C chord again. So bail out of a chord early so that you can play the next chord right on the beat, because that's the important thing. We need to hear the chord change when it should change. So try doing this. What I want you to do is take off the chord you're playing or start the move to the chord that you're heading to when you say 4. And do it nice and slowly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now sometimes it will sound a bit odd because you might hear that, or you might hear that, because you're moving and you might be touching strings, you might be playing nothing because you've lifted all your fingers off and not put one down. Do you know what? That's fine. If you listen to people playing the ukulele or the guitar, you'll quite frequently hear something that's not quite the chord you were expecting to hear, but isn't the next one either, just at the last minute. It won't be as obvious as this because they will have practiced and got that time down. But you might still hear a little... I'm emphasising it there, you wouldn't play it louder, but so much so that if you're copying, say, a guitar part off a record, yours might not sound right without those in. This is just part of playing an instrument like this. It's not a piano. We need to keep this rhythm going, and there will be times when we have to move that hand while still doing this. It's part of what makes strumming a stringed instrument sound like strumming a stringed instrument. So try doing it. 2, 3, 4 and 1. On the and, if you can get the 4 and you can do the 4, leave it a bit later. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And if you can't do it on the and after the 4, then do it on the 4. If you can't manage it on the 4, slow the whole thing down. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1. When you slow things down, slow them down evenly. So if you have a metronome, slow your metronome down, and that way you'll be practicing in time. You won't be rushing ahead and slowing down and rushing ahead and slowing on the hard bits and rushing through the easy bits. It'll keep you nicely regular with your patterns so that when you speed it up, everything falls into place. If you combine practicing getting this hand, just doing a simple up and down until you can do it without thinking, and you combine that with bailing out of the previous chord a little early so that you can be ready for the new chord, I guarantee your playing will sound a lot smoother and you'll be a lot more comfortable playing songs because you won't forever be trying to play catch up and be a little bit late to every chord. I hope you've enjoyed this and I hope it helped, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.